friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I've got, hopefully, a short little video for you. I'm going to be doing the end of the year book tag. I'm doing this a bit late. According to the questions, I think you're supposed to do this like as you transition into fall, as you transition into the last quarter of the year. So some of these questions will not really have full answers. Or the answers will be a little bit different now than when that season change happened. But it's a fun, quick little thing I want to do, and it'll be interesting, you know, if I'm still making videos this time next year, how will my answers be different? So I will have the questions listed down below. The original video was created by Arielle Bissett. I hope I'm saying that name right. I will have her video linked in the description box as well. So, all right, let's get into it. Okay. Question number 1. Are there any books you started this year that you need to finish? Not really. I tend to finish books fairly quickly. Probably the only thing I can think of is I tried to start a book I have about poetry by Pablo Neruda. I'm not a big poetry reader, but I started reading it and the introduction was really dense, so I kind of just skipped over it. It was a lot about like poetry history and poetry theory. So I tried to start reading the poetry. I have a copy that has both the original Spanish version and the English version, and I was struggling, and it was a lot more cerebrally involved than I was expecting. So I want to try and give it another shot before the end of the year, because that's one of the books that's been on my TBR the longest, but I'm not going to put a lot of pressure on myself to finish it the way that I would finish a novel. All right, question number 2. Do you have an autumnal book to transition into the end of the year? Not really, partially because I've really only been tracking and like reading intently the past 6 months. Before that I was kind of like in a 10-year reading slump. So the idea of like having seasonally specific books or genres is new to me. I do think in the future I will maybe be focusing on thrillers or horror, just because around that time of the year there's going to be a lot of recommendations. So I might be able to sift through them and find something that I think is going to suit me. I've realized I'm very much like a mood reader, so I'm not going to make any hard or fast rules about like seasonally specific books. Cool. All right, is there a new release you're still waiting for? Now this is one of those questions that would have had more accurate answers if I had done this like in September. As of right now, I don't think I have anything I'm waiting for that's going to come out between now and the end of the year, but I do have a couple that I'm really excited for. They're going to come out early 2021. That's Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas. This is a companion book to The Hate U Give. The story follows Star's father, so I'm really excited for that. That one's going to come out in January. 400 Souls, A Community History of African America, 1619 to 2019, by Ibram X. Kendi and Keisha N. Blaine. This is a history anthology. Maybe anthology is not the right word. But this book is scheduled to come out in February of 21. This past year I read Kendi's How to Be an Anti-Racist, and I really, really enjoyed it. I thought that was a very... I thought the formula, the setup of that book was very conducive to the subject matter. And I listened to it on audiobook, and the audiobook is narrated by the author and is excellent. Yeah, I'm looking forward to reading more history about marginalized communities written by people from those communities. So that is one to watch. Cool. What are 3 books you want to read before the end of the year? So I mentioned trying to get back into that Pablo Neruda poetry collection. I definitely want to read the 5th season. I bought that one months ago, and just other things have come in the way of me finally diving into that series. So that's one that I'm very much looking forward to picking up before the end of the year. And then also I have a book that is a complete collection of work by Thomas Rivera. I talked about this one in my TBR video. That I think was also one of the books that had been on my TBR shelf the longest. On question number 5. Is there a book you think could still shock you and become your favorite book of the year? Fifth Season, I think, is a contender, and if I get to it, Cemetery Boys. That's one I picked up recently, and I'm very excited for that one. I should be able to get to both, but Fifth Season is going to take priority because I've had it the longest. But yeah, both of those I think are right up my alley and have gotten so much hype and so many rave reviews. So those two are the top contenders on my TBR shelf. Last question number 6. Have you already started making reading plans for 2021? I saw one comment on the original video where it's like, what? No, you don't read plans, books just fall into your lap. Which I'm, again, going back to how I say that I'm kind of a mood reader. I'm like, I don't have like really solid plans, but I'll talk about what ideas I have both for my reading and for bookish content video stuff. So because I've really only started tracking my reading the past 6 months, I want to look at the stats for that and look at like how many women authors of color, anyone with a disability, anyone with, not from the US, anything translated, nonfiction, etc. I want to look at stuff like that and get like a baseline for what I was reading this year and try to make sure that I continue to read diversely in the future. Let's see. When buying books, I want to make sure I'm focusing on supporting indie bookstores and used bookstores. I'm still going to make liberal use of my library, but like I've mentioned this before, a lot of the books on my wish list at my library have a very long wait list. People are reading a lot, which is great. But sometimes I want to read something now, or I want to like make sure that I'm like financially supporting a new release or a new author. I have one project I want to do in terms of my TBR and my channel. I want to do like a reread declutter series. I don't know really what I'm going to call it. I have a bunch of books on my shelf that I want to reread because I don't really remember what they're about, or I don't remember how well I liked them, or there's something that it's been so long since I've read them that I want to reread them. So I want to do like maybe per month choosing 5 books to put on my TBR for the month that are rereads. While I'm not minimalist, I am someone who wants to curate what I own, hence the channel name. And also like be very like familiar with what I have and be like have a lot of thought go into the things that I continue to own. So if there's like a book on my bookshelf that I can't really tell you what it's about, or I can't tell you how well I liked it, or okay, I liked it when I was 12, but does it hold up? Does it deserve some of the precious space on my bookshelf? This will also kind of serve the purpose of like fleshing out my TBR without having to wait for library books and without having to spend money and buy new books. So I'm looking forward to it, but I'm kind of challenging myself to read a couple of the books on my physical TBR. At the time of filming this, my physical TBR has 0 views. If you should choose to go watch that, I can tell you that I've picked up a couple of more books from little free libraries, so it has grown. I'm gonna try and instill some discipline in getting through my TBR and not just adding and adding and adding to it. So, cool. All right. That's the tag video. I talked a lot about that last question. We'll see how much I can edit it down. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I encourage you to go out into the world and be curious. I will have my other social media links in the description if you would like to connect with me on Instagram or Goodreads. If you like chatting about books with me, consider hitting that like button. Consider subscribing. I'm gonna have links to learn about Black Lives Matter. I have a link for donating to bail funds across the country. I will have a link to donate to Indigenous COVID response. It's a website that talks about the specific challenges of Indigenous communities that they are facing right now during COVID. You can donate funds, you can donate materials, you can donate knowledge. I'll catch y'all in my next video. Bye!